because
that sandwich.
it saves you getting bitch slapped.
Yeah, this is what I think of you. That's on camera. Well, tell me the story.
We're like Burger King. Special orders don't upset us.
Wow.
We don't let the customers know.
That's in the back room. You're like,
my father was a guide, so I spent my youth in the outdoors, traipsing around, following him, etc. He was a hunting and fishing guide. I got into canoes and kayaks. So I never had toys as a kid like regular kids had toys and like that. I used to get like canoes and kayaks my father would bring me and things like that because we lived on a lake. And
where did you live?
out at Horseshoe Lake out in Batavia.
That's awesome. I don't think I knew that.
Wow. So, anyways, we lived out there. So those are the kind of things I had. I had like skunks for pets, possums, things to that order. Plus
really
lots of dogs and
Did
cats.
Did you catch skunks and traps and then keep them?
Yeah. They would.
They were just
find them like when they were young. If Mama got flattened, on the road or whatever, and there was a little one around, and my father knew a couple of vets that were friends of his and like that, and they'd descent them, and they'd follow you around like little puppy dogs and so forth.
That's cool. That's really cool. So.
And this was back long before there was the big rabies scares and so forth. So I had skunks, I had cats, I had dogs for pets, all different kinds and styles.
I mean, that's like your life on the lake begat this. It was perfect, like as you grew up, and you were involved in the Scouts.
I became I was involved with Scouts a little bit when I was a youth, but they didn't do anywhere near as much as what I did. So it was like, nah, we're gonna quit that. Yeah, and then I got involved with Scouts when my kids were old enough to join Scouts.
Now, Scouts played a big part, though, throughout your entire life. Because this business, didn't you tell me something about how the Scouts you were involved heavily in their groups here?
Yes,
right?
Yes. Well, that's how I got involved, is with the kids. My kids, when they were in Scouts, and John Q. Public fathers had no clue how to be able to put together, organize, or do a canoe trip or anything. And so one thing led to another, and I started doing them for our Scouts, and it just kept multiplying and getting bigger and bigger. And that's when I met Norm. I'd heard about him for many years and like that, but I'd never met him. And
so Norm was infamous?
I'm sorry?
He was infamous?
He was infamous. So I met him through one of my other friends, and he, shortly after that, had retired from NIMO, and I called him up one night and said, let's go quaff a couple of ales, and we sat down, and I said, what are you going to do with your retirement? And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, you want to be able to do some of our, the things that we do, and because he was a super canoeist also, and we went from there.
But you hadn't met him.
No, I had met him probably maybe a year before that.
Okay.
But we'd never had a chance to be able to go canoe trip together or anything and like that, and we did a couple of things in Scouts together just for teaching purposes. And so that's why I asked him the one night, what do you want to be able to do with your retirement? Do you want to be a detriment to society, or do you want to be able to do something with our skills? And he said sure, and Past Peaks and Paddles was born shortly after that.
Now, is this the original location?
No, we started out in my house
You did.
Yeah, and when you couldn't get from the living room to the dining room to the kitchen.
Were you renting canoes in your house?
At my house, yes. Until the town threw me out.
Yeah, but you know what I like about that's a garage. You had a garage business, right? I mean, literally, you had a house business, but you're running it out of your house. So where were you here? Were you living on the canal?
No, I was over on Hopkins Road over in Williamsville.
It's awesome. So you got way too busy. The town was like, you can't run your business out of here, especially this type of business.
Well, yeah, they didn't want canoes parked in the yard, you know.
Oh my God. So, hence you guys are trolling around.
So then we turned around and I found a spot over on Transit Road.
Okay.
And we opened that up with a little retail store. It was an old collision shop.
Okay.
When we first rented it, it was like the walls were every color you could possibly imagine, from
Right.
overspray on cars
mess,
and
right?
stuff.
Yeah.
And so we cleaned it all up, made it into a small little canoe shop,
Nice.
and went from there.
But again, you're not near water over there.
Yeah, we were. We were
you
right
were.
by Tonawanda Creek. We were
Oh,
right
okay.
at the,
So you were okay.
yeah,
So
we had to
that's-
walk probably 200 feet to the water.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
No.
So you were close in proximity to it. And how long were you there?
I think 94 we moved over there, and we moved out of there to here in 2001,
Maybe 2000.
Yeah.
and we've been here since.
It's a great location, and it's cool how this sneaks up on you. You know what I mean? Like it's almost so. Here's my thought when I came up this road. It was the second day I was here. The first day was up further, and I hadn't come down this way. And when I found you guys were on my left, so I was coming from the boulevard, and in my head I was like, you know what this place could use? And boom, and that's just about right. If you've never, it's a perfect location for this. You couldn't have asked for a better spot, really, except for having the creek out your back door. But I mean, it's literally out your front door, 100 yards, not even, like 50
Not even.
yards.
Right, it's the dock.
So now, Christine, when did you come into this?
I got into kayaking because of work. It was extremely stressful.
Where were you working?
Same place I'm at now. It is still stressful.
Wait. So,
But-
wait, did you get a job over at the train? Was she working with you?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. When I started doing paddles, and then we started doing tripping, and it was actually Norm that told me to be a guide. He said we need a woman guide, and there's nobody else that he has seen that can match what a guy does. And with that offhanded compliment, I apprenticed 2.5 years.
Wow.
I needed to make sure I was ready to be a guide.
Right.
And, you take the test, you got your certifications, but you have to have the skill to be a leader. And,
Well, I mean, even that little path trip we did to the ravine there, I mean, it was really awesome. And so you even commented, like, the way that you guys handled that whole thing was, like, it was great. I don't know really how to describe it, but it was flowy, and it wasn't like, like you were...
That's what it's supposed to be.
We knew who was in charge, you know what I mean? And we listened to you, but you allowed it to happen, you know what I mean?
well, I'm a guide. Natalie was there, she's an instructor. John was there, he's an instructor.
Oh, so we were in
So
good hands.
they know also what to do, but anything that happens along the trail, they will get me, and then, we come to an agreement on how we're going to resolve a situation.
Gotcha.
But usually the group knows who the leader is, and usually 100% of the time they totally respect what you're doing.
Sure. And that's no different whether you're walking in a hike or you're out on the creek or the river or the
Correct.
lake. It's all the same. I mean,
Correct.
and
You're the one that's ultimately responsible for the
everybody.
people, and you don't try and be able to play boss. You just direct.
Don't you get? I mean, so how do you like control that? Well, see, you have great.
You threaten to eat them.
We have a cage in back. So how do you? Because I mean, kids
that
are
goes back to your leadership skill.
right.
You know, you have to be their friend, but you have to do it with authority.
Right.
And if you can explain to them why you don't want to do something, or you're going to get hurt, or there's a danger to this, they usually get it.
They listen.
And I usually do let them go outside of the box and try to attempt something on their
Right.
own. But
Enough where they can understand the dilemma
Right.
that would occur.
You
if
let
they-
them spread their wings, but you in a controlled situation.
Right. And that's probably the best thing you can do, because then they get that sense of empowerment. Because, you know, like a kid will feel restricted, and the natural tendency then is to do the thing that you don't want them to do.
you met Ronan, he's the little one.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the beginning, he would run rampant, would never listen to anybody. So I took the situation and turned it around. I made him be the leader. So instead of him following the group, taught him how to read blazes, how to go from one blaze to the next blaze, how to lead the group, how to make sure the group is adequately drinking the water, they're following directions, they're listening. He bought right into that.
You know what I noticed with him too that day? He knew almost inherently like what needed to get done, and there was one point when he called it out, like before anybody, like we should do this now, and I thought that was, for a little kid, man, that's a big deal. For him to be cognitive enough of the situation and not let the situation overrun him, and be aware that we hadn't stopped for a drink or somebody, whatever was going on, because even Sue commented, she was like, wow, that was crazy. Like, he really knew enough in that situation that, oh, this hadn't happened yet, it needs to happen, so I'm calling it out. And for a little kid to raise their voice, you know.
Tell the story.
What story? Which one?
The one about Ronan
Mommy?
and Ronan and Mommy.
What I try to do is, if there's other kids in the group, you can see somebody is going to be the wallflower, very shy, and I'll ask Ronan to take this person under his wing, let him see how you do it. So we were at Bond Lake, and we just came up one of the paths, and he knows each spot where we have to stop, check your group. So he's asking everybody, did you have your water? Can everybody hear me? Is everybody okay? But his mom is in the back of the line just talking up a storm. And he comes out from the line, hands on his hips, and says, Mommy, I'm the leader. You need to pay attention.
That's
Are you
awesome.
drinking your water? And everybody went, whoa.
But that's great, though, for a little kid to know enough to do that and have the confidence within himself to...
Well, he was taught by Chris, you
Yeah.
know,
Well,
and like
we-
that they go out on hikes.
Right.
When we go out, even if it's just a family casual hike, it's like instantly all the grandkids do exactly what they've been taught.
Yeah, honestly, it was they were really exceptionally behaved kids. Like, it was awesome. There wasn't one time in that whole 2-3 hours that anybody got out of line. And I'm not,
And when we put them in a group with other kids and so forth, the other kids react to them.
right? Because, I mean, that's a big empowerment, too, for a kid to step up. Other kids do fall in line quickly in that situation. So, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays itself out as they get older, having that type of confidence when they're young like this. You know?
It's playing out, and we're watching it. My 16-year-old wanted to go, he was with his friends. They wanted to go canoeing. He came here with his friends, totally respected all the equipment. When they came back, I was thoroughly impressed. I've never seen him in a canoe, and he was doing everything right.
Wow.
Got out, you know, he took over, got the other kids to help him get the boats put away, put the gear away.
And canoes are hard to,
They're not light.
I mean, he's a kid. He's 16, right? So, and he was all by himself in the canoe, right?
Well, he had 3 other kids.
Oh, yeah,
but
3 kids.
They were never.
But they
in
weren't
the
all
canoe.
in a canoe. They rented 2 canoes.
Gotcha.
but they're not used to picking something up and reacting to
Sure,
it.
sure. Yeah, it was awesome. It really was to see that, and it's just a testament to your ability as grandparents, and then your kids' ability, and your in-law, the whole group. It's like the village that we were with that day, and I was like, wow, what an impressive family, because it was fun. It wasn't like strict. Like my sister Tina would be yelling. I was picturing, Sue was laughing because I was picturing my family on that, and it would just be mayhem. Tina be yelling, Renee be crying, the kids would be running all over the place. We'd inevitably have to go back to the car early. Half of us would stay, half of us would go. And this was a really, I was like, wow, what an awesome family, and what a really nice time we had. And everybody was well behaved and enjoyable, and I was like, man, that's really what it should be, not the chaos I was raised in, So
I've come to depend on them to assist. If
Right.
we're doing a mommy or me or dad and lad paddle, they know where the vests are. They go and get the vest. Mackenzie can fit the kids. She tells them about the vest, how to wear the vest. When they're in the water, each kid, my grandchildren will go up to each boat to check on them to make sure, the kids are having a good time. It's like, they're little guides.
yeah. Well, and I also wanted to talk about this because I experienced it personally, but B, that's part of your business, and that's what you can expect on these. They're really awesome trips, and they're super enjoyable, and they're calm. Nothing's crazy. It's very well docented. You have a great encompassing, well-rounded experience on these. So now you guys do the kayak trips. And canoe trips, is that weekly?
Yeah, it's Tuesday evening. We have what we call our Tuesday evening stress reducer paddle that we do here on the creek, and
Right.
it's a loop up around the Big Island. It's free if you want to be able to come down with your own boat
Right.
and be able to join us. We have 4 rules that you have to be able to adhere to. You have to wear your PFD, wear it properly. No drugs or alcohol in the water. You have to be able to stay with the group. If you're coming for an aerobics workout or want to do an aerobics workout, we're not the group to go with, because it's a nice, slow, easy paddle, so you can be able to, shoot the bull from one boat to another, tell tales, swap lies, have a general good time.
Yeah, it's about de-stressing and taking your time.
Yeah, and we do a loop up around the Big Island, so you're not coming back
You
the same
forgot
way
the
you went
last
out.
rule.
Oh, and
No electronics.
yeah, no
Good
electronics.
for
You
you
unplug
guys,
for the
man.
night.
Good.
If you want to be able to bring your phone for photos,
That's
that's
another thing,
fine.
right.
But I don't want it, no texting, no phone calls, no.
Yeah, that drives me crazy. I've only had one. I love this. This is like, if I had my choice, I'd live on a cabin on a lake and be done with everything. But I can't. But I went once to this really special lake that I go to in the Adirondacks. It's my first time back in 20 years, and life has changed in 20 years. It was driving me crazy. So at night, the loons call, and then the kids do this. There's this tradition there. The kids, I don't know what it is, but it's I'm not going to do it because it sounds idiotic, but they do this, it's kind of a loon call, but the kids do it, and it's really neat at night when all the fires are around the lake, and the kids are calling each other, and it's just this magical time. Right in the middle of all that, phones and people talking, and then you could see the phones around the lake, and I was like, this is killing this for me, because I really loved that night, the fires, and that was it. Stars and the loon calls, and then the kids would call, and you'd kind of hear little conversations, and now you're seeing phones all over the place. And to me, that just ruins the experience, especially 2 doors down, somebody's getting a call, and then they're loud. Ugh, check it at the door.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, that's one of my rules is for Tuesday evening paddles and like that is you unplug for the night. Except for having your phone for pictures if you've got a waterproof case for it.
Right.
And Thursday evenings we go out to Wilson, and we'll do a paddle out on either Lake Ontario or the East Branch or West Branch of 12 Mile Creek if the lake is cranking up, or we have brand new people that are nervous about being able to go out into the lake.
Yeah, the lake, I've tried.
Forth and goes the extra mile to be able to show them how to be able to get in, get out, takes them over, puts them in the water, etc.
You take away that initial intimidation of the that process.
Even if you came to me and you've never paddled before, I will pull somebody out, show you how to hold the paddle, how to take your basic strokes, so that at least they're comfortable. They're not getting in and they're not flailing. They don't have the fear that I'm going to go in the water.
That's people's biggest fear is flipping over.
It's,
I don't know.
and right now we're getting nice compliments. It's on that type of service, and it's really not service. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you're comfortable, you're coming back, you know, you liked it. Sometimes, you know, they'll make, you know, paddling a career. This is what they want to do with their family.
You know what's cool too about your location is that you guys aren't set off on a lake or a creek or a river somewhere that you got to drive 50 miles to. You are in the middle of tens of thousands of homes, so a family can just walk out of their house and walk up here. Like that type of thing blows my mind sometimes, because when I was a kid, I would go to the creek and stuff, but you know, we would rent a cottage on the lake, but everything was always out there. You know what I mean? It was never accessible from where I was.
Right.
And the fact that you could just, like, after dinner say, hey, honey, why don't we take the kids for a paddle tonight? That is awesome. That they could just walk out of their house, walk down here,
They're
and then
riding their
walk.
bikes here.
That's
Oh,
fantastic.
we didn't know you
right?
were here.
Right. And you have this great, and the path too, right? Now the path's on the other side, correct? Or no? Isn't
No,
it?
the path is, well, it's in the park and it cuts down
But
through.
you have these awesome cross bridges here,
Right.
Which I thought were those always? Because this is all new to me. Were those always there?
Yeah.
Like they've been there for a long time.
Many, many moons.
Because that was a really heads up idea, you know. Like my drive here was crazy. It was like family circus when the kid leaves the house. I was like, I just want to get over there and I can't. So if they come down the path, they just cross over and you guys are right here. So now you guys are also, you have a bunch of other, you have kayaks, canoes, every accessory imaginable for those.
Stand-up paddle boards.
Yeah, and you guys sell what else? Everything for the outdoors, or?
We do backpacking, camping, and paddle sports.
Okay. And anything associated with that, right? And now if you guys don't have it, you'll get it, that type of thing.
We're like Burger King, special orders don't upset us.
Well,
We don't let the customers know that they don't upset us.
That's in the back room. You're like, really? You want those? So now for tents
all
and
right,
stuff-
you're new. You want a boat.
right.
You want a rack. So you come in, I want to get into this. Many times before somebody gets into it, I will explain the introduction to kayaking class so that you've got the basic handle on what you're getting into. Don't spend a lot of money until you know this is what you want to do. So people take the introduction to kayaking class, they fall in love with it, they do their research, what boat they want, they do the research, what type of rack do they want. We spend a lot of time getting the rack perfect for their vehicle, spend a lot of time making sure the boat that they're looking at getting is gonna work for them. You do want to try the boat before you purchase it. Make sure this fits you correctly and you're comfortable in it. And then when they leave, we did our job. I know they're happy. They're going to be satisfied. If they want something else, they'll come back here.
Yep, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And that's what you don't get at the big box. This is all about customer service. It's a mom and pop business. You guys deeply care about your customers and your customer base. And you've been here for how many years now?
2002, I believe it was, that we moved over here.
So, and you were already over there for another 5
this is our 29th year of being in business.
Yeah, there's no small business that's in business for 30 years unless you're doing something right, period. You know,
in
so-
Western New York, hard.
Yeah,
Very
it is hard. It is. And listen, I started this in this way that I do this 2 years ago, and I've seen hundreds of businesses over the last 2 years, and I meet thousands of businesses. It's really difficult here. So 30 years is a big deal. I think even like you get to 10 and you're like, and it never ends too, and that's the thing. You guys got to stay on it. Keep your client base happy, get new customers in here, and that's what this is about, is showing this awesome business that you've built, where you are, your location, the fact that you're a stone's throw from, I don't know how many tens of thousands of homes, and you're on one of the busiest streets, really right off of Niagara Falls Boulevard, and so accessibility is super easy to get here no matter where you live. It's 25 minutes from Seneca, so that tells you a lot. It's how convenient it is to get here. Now, this creek and the canal, and this whole thing is magic. Like, there's really nothing like this anywhere. Well, how this all kind of intersects up at the harbor.
You know, you can, well, from here you can be able to paddle to Florida without ever getting out of your boat and without ever going out to the ocean.
Well, oh, you could.
Yes.
Oh my
you
gosh.
You paddle down the creek to the canal, make a right at the canal, take the canal down to Albany, make a right on, and when you hit Albany, you go down the Hudson, and you paddle down the Hudson into New York Harbor. In the back of New York Harbor is the Intercoastal Waterway, and the Intercoastal Waterway takes you all the way to Florida.
That is crazy. That's like Bugs Bunny when it says take a left to get to Albuquerque. The same thing, right?
Yeah, basically.
That's crazy. Yeah. What, that's like a bucket list trip for you two. That would be like a retirement trip to do that. That'd be awesome. It'd take like a month.
People do it from here to Albany though.
Wow.
And like that, we'll end up with a few people that'll stop by here, and they'll start right from here. Every year or so, we'll get one or two groups that do it, and they'll paddle from here to Albany.
That's so cool. Now, hours, you guys are open when? Does it change? Well, I mean,
It feels like all the time.
24/7.
We're open 7 days a week. We're open 9 to 6, and a lot of evenings during the summertime, a lot later than 6. But it's finishing up with customers,
Sure.
taking care of things, etc.
Awesome.
We do activities all year round.
Okay. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, we totally got to
We
talk
do
about that.
our hikes. We do family hikes. We do adult hikes. And when we have snow, we do snowshoeing. We do snowshoe brunches. We will go to different parks to explore with the snowshoes. And it allows you to go into the woods and along trails that you would find difficult with snow in snow boots.
Mm-hmm.
So that is enjoyable, watching everybody of all ages trying that.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't forget about that because that's a big deal that you guys are running these all year regardless, right? So snowshoe walks, hikes like we did up at the ravine.
Right.
And now you will do your kayaks and your canoe trips, weather permitting, until when? Late October or? Do you go
Generally about the beginning of October.
Okay, so I mean that's a good season. So if weather was permitting, you would start it when, like May to October?
We do the first Tuesday in May,
Okay, so
First
I mean that's a
Thursday.
good chunk
and
of
the first
year.
Thursday in May we start. Those are when we start our 2 stress reducer paddles.
And on your website, you guys have all this information.
Yes.
Okay. And so you can tell us about that actually.
That's Miss Chris's
The
little
website.
baby, yeah.
So can we sign up? Is that where we sign up, or how do we sign
Well,
up?
what we do is we'll put a flyer up with a description of the activity in the event calendar. And you can sign up through the store. You can come in and pay, which is, I tend to like also because face to face I can tell you what the activity is, what to expect, who we are. I want you to know who we are before we go out. And the customers tend to leave feeling comfortable that they're going to do an activity with us.
Yeah, and I would imagine just from you meeting you guys, you have a great disposition, very calming. It's not like you're just, because signing up for things online, you have no idea what you're getting into.
Well,
Most-
people generally give us a call.
Okay.
They'll call.
Okay.
A lot, like with the full moon paddles, a lot is hearsay. I heard
word
it
of
was
mouth,
a nice paddle, good food. What used to start out with a paddle and maybe an hour, hour and a half, is turning into a bonding experience. People will get around a picnic table. They don't have to know anybody, but they're actually bonding and exchanging phone numbers.
Yeah, but when we left the hike, it was the same way. Like, I mean, was it your son-in-law? Or was it your son? Who was the big dude?
My son.
Your son. So he was awesome. He was a firefighter. But we talked, and a lot of my friends are firefighters. He was an awesome guy. And so, I mean, I bonded with him. Sue bonded with your daughter-in-law. And we bonded with the kids. So I get that. I mean, it is that type of situation that you're out, you're doing this activity, but it's not a type of activity. It's a type of activity that encourages that. So I can see that completely. Sure.
But people that don't know one another and like that, they'll start off being real standoffish and like that. but by the end of the evening,
Yeah, they're all
everybody's
buddies, yeah.
intermixing and so forth.
Yeah. Then that's kind of the nature of this: is get out, get social, right, and just enjoy.
And unplug.
Yes. Wow. Get out. What did we say? Because that's
Get
a nice little-
social.
Yeah, and unplug. That's a nice little. Right, because that's what it is. That's what it's all about, and that's what you guys provide here. And there's nothing like this up here. I mean, you guys are the only ones that do this in this way, you know. And having the creek and the canal and the harbor down there doesn't get any better, you know. So
We're not gonna retire filthy rich, but you can go home every night, go to bed, and you worked hard, and hopefully you made some people happy.
yeah. You know,
That's what it's all about.
You just gave me the perfect close. That was awesome.